I would like to say a good evening, lecturer, and also my classmate, also my group member. Today, I am sorry to record video of my presentation because I have a problem with my relative. Tonight, I just got a phone call from uh, my mother, my brother. She said that my uncle has passed away tonight. So that's why I have to go to the province to join my uncle Shuro. So that's why I just recreate a video to make the presentation for today's lesson. I'm first sorry lecturer to all and group member as well because I have to go there to join the my uncle Shuro, and I just record a video and send to our group member and all classmates to see my presentation for today. As you can see in my presentation, I have three members. My name Nimo, Manik, and Dalias. And my group member has choose chapter 6 for presentation. And another topic is accessing productive and interactive skill. Before I move to the topic, I think this lesson is related to the chapters the the chapter that my our group our classmate had present last week. It means that it is a related, and today as well you will know what is the productive skill in the teaching and learning, how to access productive and interactive skill, and you will know exactly what is productive. I will tell you some point, and after that you will know clearly uh, from my members. Well, let's move to our content. Let's move to our content. Okay, let's move to our content. There is our content that I will present for this up the whole session for the afternoon or this evening. So the first I will talk about the defining, assessing productive and the active ability, purpose of assessment, and assessment design have presented by me. And let's move to our my point, everyone. I see that you are with me now. So as you can see, this is our defining the meaning of the word productive interactive ability. Or you will know what is productive, what is respective. Yeah, have you learned before? I think that you already know that this is the I think you have to you learn how previous presenter or previous group have already mentioned, but I want to add some point based on the long man dictionary language teaching and apply linguistic. The word productive, respective language knowledge, and also active passive language or knowledge, the ability of person to active produce their own speak and writing is called their productive language knowledge. This is compared to the ability to understand the speak and writing of other people, their respective language knowledge. So in language teaching, there are 2 points you have to remember: productive and respective. Yeah. Now let's move to our next slides. So as you can see, there are 2 groups. Normally, you know already, right? There are 2 group of language skill or language use in language teaching and learning. 2 group skill, respective and productive. Respective they are to reading and listening, and productive they are to speaking and writing. Yeah. Let's move with me together. Yeah. I want to bring the feeling to all of you with me to focus on a productive or active skill. It's normally you know the word productive or active skill. Not the same meaning, you know. You can call productive or you can call active skill. Yeah. Productive skill are speaking and writing. Yeah, I have mentioned already in previous slide. If you focus to productive skill, it means that you focus to speaking and writing. Why speaking and writing is productive skill? Why? You can ask the question why? Because learner doing this need to produce language like grammatical structure, verbs, and their proper use and certain extent of accuracy need to be respected. Because productive is the ability to the student to produce the language use like grammar. You have to be the fluent of grammar, grammar structure. Word is mean that you have to use the word that is like academic word. That word is so high, not simple word, and we have to use with the right grammatical structure in writing. But in speaking also, you know, sometimes general speaking, we cannot focus to the accuracy, but if you speak like a formal speak, formal presentation, or you take an IELTS test, you take a TOEFL test, it means that your speaking should be accuracy and respected. You have to focus to stress or spelling. Yeah. So to summarize, speaking and writing is productive skill. It means the student produce the language, right? Yeah. The ability to produce the language, or you can call active skill also. So let's move to our next slide. You can just see the word respective or passive skill. Respective skill are listening and reading because learner do not need to produce a language to do this. They receive and understand it. Respective is mean different from the productive skill. Why? You might be different because uh, productive the student is just to listen to the teacher and they understand the instruction, they do it. They don't use any skill, any grammar, spelling. They just listen and they do it. It's all respective skill or passive skill, right? It means the student just listen and understand. Just listen and understand because respective or passive skill. Yeah, let's move a little bit. Example, I give you example with one. I think you are with me now. I give you example. So learner has already spent time operating some respective skill with the podcast. For example, in your teaching in your daily teaching in class or somewhere, up to you, it means you play the podcast to the student. It means that you want to build student respective skill mean improve listening or reading. In this step, the student don't care about the grammar, and spelling, don't care about accuracy. For example, by listening and reading it, they move on to productive skill by group writing their own. For example, when they listen to understand uh, the podcast, they move their own style, their own take note to do some point, to do some exercise. The exercise that they have done after listen to the podcast, we call productive skill, right? So we take students with the respective first, and after that move them to work with productive skill. In some activity that we use both in the teaching technique or teaching in class, There are two activities, as you can see, such as literature project, seek to integrate work on respective and productive skill. So there are many activities that can be used both respective and productive together, right? Like group presentation, summarize, uh, group work, any work that you can take them with to use both technique, respective and productive skill. So let's move a bit with me together. How do you? Yes, example. In the process of the learning, the beginning of the language learner learn with perspective, understand the new item. Yeah. So in the process of the learning, I think that the student need to be listen first, right? For example, you give the task to student or classwork or homework. If you not tell directly, you should not tell some instruction to the student. You imagine that the student can understand well the way how to do it. Yeah, I know if the smart student, they really know about that. But for the medium student, for weakness student, they have to listen carefully to the student, to the instruction from a teacher before they move to the productive skill for reading, for writing or speaking. So the beginning to summarize the beginning of the language learner, we have to use respective first to understand the new item, and then the later move to productive use. Yes. So let's move to get with me together. I think that I want, are you with me, right? Yeah, great. Yes, and this one in the classroom also, the relationship between respective and productive skill is complex one. If one the set skill naturally support each other. For example, building reading skill can be contribute to the development of writing. Productive skill not exist without a supporting of respective one. For example, uh, respective and productive skill we cannot it's so complex one. We cannot divide it. We cannot separate it. Right. We have to use both. Some skills are related. Some, for example, if you want to, for example, building a reading skill contribute to develop of writing. For example, if you want to develop a writing skill of the student, you have to make them to read, right? Read can transfer them to develop writing skill. So respective and productive skill go along, not separated, not divided. We have to use both in the real teaching or real class. Yeah. Yeah, you can ask the question one. You can answer the question at the end. Productive skill would not exist without support of respective one. Do you agree or disagree? This question will put for discussion at the end, everyone. So in this sentence, you can, they want you to know that we cannot separate it. We cannot say that respective is better than productive or productive is better than respective, because all of the skills are good and the best for teaching, because some skills are related. We cannot separate it sometimes. Yeah. So that's why we can use both in teaching and learning. So let's move to this one. One is the simplified model of language production. As you can see, the way to produce the language, how many points that you combine together? You can see meta connective skill, and this one we call knowledge result. Okay, meta connective skill it combined with goal setting, mental set, communication strategy, review, and remediation. Yeah, and for knowledge, what you have to knowledge you to know knowledge of topic, social linguistic, and grammatic rule, discourse, grammar, vocab, phonology. All of these combine to make production or output, right? The first you have to know meta-cognitive first. After that, you know the knowledge result, and at the end, you make the output or result of production. For example, what they want you want to get to make production: conceptualization, planning, organization, encoding, vocabulary, grammatical, phonology, orthography, output, monitoring, and repair. All of this, all of production come from mental meta connective skill and knowledge result. Yeah. And for this one, I will move a bit. I will move a little bit to interactive skill, because in this book, the writer focused a lot in productive respective skill, but for interactive skill, they want you to know a little bit the meaning, the defining of interactive skill. What is interactive skill? As you can see, this kind of ability of use to communicate. Yeah, of course. When we talk about interactive skill, mean communicate. Communicate is like the interactive skill are the same, right? First, and one more thing, defining interaction imply the kind of spontaneous exchange found in a conversation, while production imply plan and rehearse monologues lectures, uh, monologue, sorry, wrong pronunciation, monologue, lecture or presentation, or written text such as report, essay, or manual. For example, when you talk, I mean to communicate, to share the idea in a conversation like spontaneous exchange, we call the interactive skill. But for production imply you have to plan, rehearse, monologue, lecture, presentation, or written text. For example, for production, you have to plan in advance, right? You have to plan in advance, but for interactive skill, just spontaneous exchange, idea or conversation. And one more thing, productive interactive division parallels another between kind of language that we use at home or friend, the more formal, careful language we use for more official, educational, or professional purpose. So productive and interactive division parallel because on the language that we use, you can use at home, at work, for academic. You have to divide it, because when we just at home, we have to communicate. Just generally communicate easy, right? So we don't want to use the word hi or long sentence. We just talk with friend, right? It means communicate, simple communicate. Yeah. But for official or educational, professional, you have to use the productive. Yeah. You could be use the formal one. Yeah. And based on the researcher, Communist 1979 labeled this as basic international communication skill and called cognitive academic language proficiency. Yeah, this is the skill, and most native speakers of the language are proficient in BIS, but CAF is only achieved through the education. Yes, of course, by Chumin, she said that most people, most of native speakers of language are proficiency in BIS, but for cognitive academic language proficiency, they have to go to school to learn and get it, right? For through education, for cognitive academic language proficiency. And one more scholar talk about Brown and Julie, 1983, suggests what different division between interactional language with function primarily build maintain social relation, think of greeting, chatting, friend, and sensational language with conversation information. For this sentence, Brown and Julie, he said that interactive language skill we use with like greeting, chatting with friends. Yeah, this is a normal, simple way. In general, we talk with friends or we chat to someone else. We just for communicate. We call interactive skill. So interactive skill we use with like greeting or chatting, and even that you communicate for exchange idea. It's mean no plan for. It's called an interactive skill. Okay. Let's move to assessment design. A1. Let's move to assessment design. Assessment designer need to pay his carefully to think of productive and interactive language use that relevant to the decision the assessment will inform. So example, designer assessment or assessment, you have to pay carefully to the productive interactive skill. So any skill that you think that it fit to the student. So as a designer, have to be know deeply focus to mind to the skill that you take to the student. Yeah, you design for productive, or you design for interactive, or you do both together. Let's move to the purpose for assessment. Yeah, as you can see, people learn a language for a variety of lessons that reason real implication for the kind of writing and speaking they may need to be do in a foreign language. So in this lesson, there are many way that variety that student decided to start to learn a language. When they write, you want, for example, when you want to learn how to write, learn how to speak, you have to go to school for getting this one, right? For formal speaking, you cannot speak whatever you want. You just come to get a teacher, instructor to tell you the way how to speak like this, like that, like IELTS speaking, TOEFL speaking, right? So if you don't want, if you don't know how to the guided of the speaking, it means that you will not get a high score from IELTS or TOEFL test or writing as well. Okay. But reading and listening, I think that sometimes you can do it by yourself, or you can just listen and build up and read and build up a reading skill every day, right? And one more day, your English will be stronger and it will be developed as well. One more thing, as with assessing respective skill, the designer must first consider the purpose of the assessment. Yeah, I have said already, I have told you already. Assessing productive skill, the designer map could be considered the purpose assessment for student. And what is the user of the result need to know about assess ability? Yeah. How can you access the ability of the student? Yeah. There are three in this. The way to access ability of student, there are three ways. I think the previous group had mentioned already about the because proficiency group or proficiency assessment user might wish to know the whether or message access has the language skill necessary to write a technical report as an engineer, give an effective presentation on academic topic as a teacher. Yeah. This is the way how to use or how to know about ability of the student. You have to access to proficiency assessment, right? For example, after technical report, as an engineer, yeah, to write, an engineer have to write technical report, give a effective presentation on academic topic as a teacher. Yeah, this is because proficiency assessment. And formative, the move to the set, the second one is for informative assessment, classroom assessment, right? Uh, informative classroom, you know already, is a process that we do assess to student in the middle of the course or during the course. For each course might require different balance of knowledge, skill, and ability to suggest different kind of assessment tasks. So you have to know a different balance of knowledge, right? You have to for different, we cannot put the same assessment. Sometimes we have to do different kind of class assessment task to the student. We cannot do something the same. We have to do it different for make assessment to student. And one more thing, if we call developing assessment for different purpose and for different population of learner, it is essential to consider how the nature of the writing and speaking that learner do well affect the kind of linguistic knowledge. Let's see very good one is we call development assessment. It means when you teach a student, you want to know the perform well, you have to assess that development to the student. Like you want to develop the writing and speaking to the learner, right? And what assessment to assess the development of writing and speaking? So you have to be carefully and consider try to find some assessment that fit to the writing and speaking. Let's move to assessment design, everyone. So the challenges for facing assessment designer who wish to assess speaking and writing ability are rather than from those involved in assessing reading and listening. Yeah. First, it's possible to observe people speaking and to look at their writing. Some people said that possible to observe people speaking, they have to look to the writing. Do you agree with one? Yes, I myself I agree. You can observe or you can observe the student are speaking. You can look back to writing. So what they have said is from the writing. So it's called we call adaptive skill. You can use both speaking and writing. Observe people speaking. It means it like the look at the writing, right? So when you know the writing, you know they're speaking as well. Do you agree? But for me, I agree with that sentence. On this basic, 2003, page 25, actually that the best way to get the people writing ability is to get them to write. And it's similar when he and John 1998 suggest that to access a learner speaking ability, access how to get him or her to speak. Just the name of the author, Push, he said that the best way to test people writing ability to get them to write. Yes, did you want to test them people ability to write to get them to write? That's correct, right? That's correct. But he and Young 1998 suggest that access learner speaking ability, access how to get him her to speak. Yeah, this one get them to write, and the second one use both, get them just speaking, get them to speak. Yeah, speak. That's I think it's a good point, right? Because I say writing, get them to write, and just speaking, get them to speak. Yeah, and so to find assessment that improve assess the effective to student of writing and speaking. And one more thing, while it's possible to access some aspect of writing and speaking through grammatical vocabulary exercise and pronunciation drill. So it is one they observe that if you want to access some of aspect of writing and speaking, you have to look to the set to grammar, vocab, exercise, or pronunciation drill. Yeah. I think I agree with that activity as well. Are you with me, everyone? Yeah, I think you are with me now. And let's move back to the next slide. It's now well established if language assessment, meaningful interpretation of writing ability or speaking ability can only really be supported through the use of performance assessment. One more thing, if you want to access the ability speaking or writing, you have to use the performance assessment, right? Performance assessment refers to activity that you have done in that you put an activity in your classroom, like role play, classwork, group work is called performance assessment. How can you evaluate the performance assessment? Performance assessment is evaluated according to the set process. Usually, employing a rating scale, you can do rating scale, or one more thing, you can use scoring rubric, right? Rubric. I think you know already rating scale or scoring rubric. I think I wanna my turn come to the end, and then next you will know clearly some point from my group member that we're talking about related to the assessing and productive skill. Before I record a video, I want to let you move to group discussion. So my group member will tell you exactly what is a group presentation. I want to put group discussion. There are 3 groups, but I put 1 question also, and my group will add 2 questions by themselves. So productive skill would not exist without support of the respective one. Agree or disagree, and why? Show you how to put the group in discussion, and for the activity, and my group member will explain more about this. And my presentation come to the end. I would like to say thank you everyone for paying attention with me from the beginning until the end. And I am feel so sorry that I cannot attend a class today because I have to come to the province to join my uncle funeral. So I hope to see all of you next week, and please enjoy my partner has presentation for the next slide uh, for the next slide. And I myself, I would like to finish I would like to end my presentation from now on. And good luck everyone, and take care, and teacher lecturer as well. Goodbye.